All right. Welcome to Embody and Magnetize. I am Laura Morrison. I actually made a little slideshow presentation for this to keep me on track because if you know me, I can talk forever. So we are going to dive into that so that everything stays on track. Feel free to use the chat box to ask questions, to make comments, to journal as we go. Let me just find the new way that Zoom has decided to share screen. Okay. Can you all see that? Okay. Brilliant. All right. Okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. So welcome. I am Laura Morrison. This is Embody and Magnetize. So a little bit about me just to dive in. I have been in the personal development and energy work field since I was a child, but I officially started offering services 10 years ago. And then I started with AO Scan in 2023. And that sort of made me go, oh my God, there's so much that we can do with the AO scan that I used to do with my clients over long periods of time. When people started using the AO scan, it was like they were having those alignments and those shifts just amazingly. So everything that we're going to talk about today, you can combine with the AO scan to bring it into your present reality of everything that you want. Okay. So my first question for you guys, and feel free to utilize the chat or write this in a journal or just contemplate it for yourself. But what is abundance to you? So I don't want this to be like the textbook definition of abundance, but like for you personally, what is abundance? Okay. It may be a feeling in your body. It may be, it feels really tight. It might feel really tiny. It might feel like you're clenching. It might feel like, I just took a giant deep breath. It might feel really relaxed. It might feel like the sun on your face. It might feel like something like having a bunch of books on your bookshelf. It might feel like nature and green grass to you or the flowers in your garden. It could be that it feels like the hug of your favorite person. It could be money in your wallet. It could be money in your bank account. What is abundance to you? So just take a second and pay attention to what abundance is for you, not what anybody's told you, not what anything else, but like right now in this moment, what is abundance? Because one of the things that I have learned is when that first of all, we all have a different definition of abundance. Abundance is going to feel different to all of us. But when we really tune in and tap into what abundance is for us, we can see where we need to make shifts or where we want to have improvements or where we're like, oh, let's follow that energy. Okay. Because abundance is an energy that once you recognize it, you can start following where it's leading you. Okay. The other thing that I want to bring up is which word feels alive for you. Okay. So abundance or abundant might not be something that makes you feel anything. If you were on last week's training, you heard my beautiful mother, Jessie, speak, and she was talking about how abundance for her is an abundance of a lot of things. So you could have an abundance of problems, you could have an abundance of money, you could have an abundance of love, but abundance for her wasn't necessarily something that was positive. It was just, it meant a lot of. So I want you to choose a word that really feels alive for you. So you might like abundance, you might like prosperity, you might like the word rich or wealthy or healthy. You might want something like money master or money manager or money magnet. You might really like the word opulent. That's one of my favorites. I feel like not a lot of people use the word opulence, and I really love that. Jesse just said it means like expansive good health, my garden, having a dishwasher, having hot showers, more than enough money to pay my bills. My preferred word is prosperous. Love that. Prosperous. Okay, I didn't even have that on my list, but that is awesome. Well, I did have prosperity, but prosperous. And then another one might be like luxury or luxurious. So feel into different words. Notice maybe you really like the word rich, but you don't really like the word wealthy, or maybe it's reverse for you. Maybe you associate rich with a bad thing, but you associate wealthy with healthy and self-sufficient. So figure out what these words feel for you and find the one that makes you feel the most alive. Another one that I didn't add on this list, for me, is affluence. Okay, so everybody and their child wants to be an influencer lately, but I really like affluence. Um, so anyways, just play around with words. I love words. Find the one that feels the most alive for you and start using that. So this week on the Monday night training, we learned how to use mind sync. So one of the things I want you to keep in mind as we're going through this training today is how you can take these words that we're discussing and these energies and these feelings and turn them into a mind sync. Okay. So you might do something like I'm abundant, and that doesn't really have any resonance in your body, but you might say I am prosperous, and your whole body goes zing. I am prosperous. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I'm prosperous. I'm prosperous. I have prosperity. So find the ones that make you feel alive, because if you're saying something and it's not creating any sort of energy in your body, you don't have a connection to it yet. So find the one that you do have a connection to and find the one that makes you feel good. Okay. To me, it means healthy roots so things can flourish. Love that. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Flourish is another brilliant word. Flourish, blooming. I love all those types of like words that make me think of like a garden growing, because I find that one of the greatest signs from God, Mother, Source, the universe, um, is nature. So I always, whenever I feel like, oh, like I'm not making enough money, or like I'm not abundant enough or something like that, I always look at nature and go, we have 4 seasons. We have when we have to be in that hibernation time of like winter and sowing those seeds. We have the time of those seeds blooming and coming to life. And then we have fall where they're sort of like falling off and going back into the earth. And we have these cycles in nature that mimic the cycles that we have in our real life that I can always connect with money. So it's like if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not really abundant, I just look outside and I'm like, okay, the trees are growing, the grass is going, like Mother Nature always provides, God always provides. So that's for me a really big anchor is like, okay, let's just look outside, look at nature, and that always brings me back into that feeling of abundance. So pick a word that feels really alive for you, or pick a few of them. Trees don't just give us, yes, trees don't just give us one orange or one flower or one leaf. They give us an abundance. Exactly. You get it. Okay. I love it. All right. So this is going to be a little exercise that I think because I want to keep today to 30 minutes, so that I just respect everybody's time, but we might go a little over. But this is something that you can come back to, rewatch the replay, go through all of these questions, go through all of these exercises. But this is one of the exercises that I find incredibly, incredibly powerful. But what do you want? Okay, like what do you really, really want? And one of the questions that I love to ask is, who will you be when money is no longer an objection? When you can no longer say, oh, I don't have the money for that, I can't afford it, who will you be? One of the biggest blocks to money that I have found is people's inability to say no. Okay. So often people are afraid to put up a boundary or to say, no, I don't want to do that. No, that's not for me. They would rather say, oh, I don't have the money for that. They use money as an excuse to say no to the things that they don't want to do, or the things that they don't want to be a part of. Or they'll be like, oh no, I have to work. I can't do that. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. Like, no, I'm so exhausted. Like, no, like they use an excuse. They can't just say, nope, that's not for me. And so often people will say, I've heard millions of people say it, like they'll be like, no, I can't afford that. No, I'm broke. No, I don't have the money for that. They're using money as an excuse. So the energy of money is going, oh, okay, you need this excuse of not having money to be the thing that allows you to say no. So my challenge for you, my take this home and go do this, is start saying no and get really, really okay with saying no and holding your boundaries and potentially disappointing people, potentially having someone go, oh, like that really sucks. But being able to say no without needing money to be your excuse. Because if I handed you $1 million today and said, here you go, and Aunt Joe came up and said, oh, wow, you have $1 million. Can I have some? You might say, yeah, for sure. That's fine. I have $1 million now. I can give it to you. But you might be like, you know what? No, I want to sit with this money for a little bit. I want to hold this money and decide what I really want to do with it before I just give it all away. And would you be able to do that? Would you be able to say, no, I'm going to hold this for a little bit? No, I can't just give out money to 500 of my closest friends. I mean, like with $1 million, you might be able to, but maybe you want to use that money a different way. Maybe you want to hold on to it. Maybe you want to keep it. Maybe you want to invest it. Maybe you want to put it into a big project. Like if you suddenly couldn't say, oh, sorry, I don't have the money, would you be able to say no? And a lot of times people can't say no. So one of my favorite exercises to do with my clients is just have a no day or a no week or a no month where every single time someone asks you for something, you're going to say no. Okay. That doesn't mean you're not allowed to change your mind. Okay. So like if your little kid comes up to you and says, mommy, 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 daddy, 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 can I have a dinosaur? Be like, no. And they might be like, why? And you'll be like, right now it's a no. We can check in later. Okay. Or your best friend comes to you and says, hey, do you want to go for coffee? Say no. Or let me think about that and get back to you. Okay. Not everybody can jump immediately to the no, but start saying no first. It's just an experiment. You could even let people know, like, hey, I'm learning how to say no. So I'm going to say no to every single thing that you ask me for the next week, but I'm just practicing my no. But if you can get comfortable saying no, then you can come back in other times and you can always go back and say, like, yeah, actually, I do want to do that if it's something that you want to do, right? But it's like getting the practice of saying no in situations that are lower stake will allow you to then in higher stake situations or more activated situations be able to say no more easily. The other thing that I really like to say, if I'm not sure, like if I'm feeling yes or no, or I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing, I will just say, I'll get back to you. Let me think about this and I'll get back to you. If that feels easier for you before you dive right into saying no, do that. But the thing is we use money or a lack of money as an excuse so that we can say no. And we want to remove that excuse so that money is no longer an obstacle for you. Okay. Is that landing with everybody? Is everybody following along what we're talking about here? What else was I going to say? The no, the money. And then, yeah, ask yourself if you did have money and it was no longer this thing, who would you want to be? Okay. I think sometimes people think that if they get a lot of money, they're going to like completely change who they are and they're going to lose themselves. Or like when I was little, one of the nicknames that I would hear in like TV shows and all this kind of stuff would be rich bitch. So I started associating if I was a female and I was rich, it somehow turned me into a bitch. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to do that. Like, no, like I don't want to be rich. And they was like, no, I can be rich, but I can be loving and I can be kind and I can be supportive. So who will you no longer be, or who will you be when you no longer can no longer use the excuse of I can't afford that? The other thing too is if you are still in a place where you're like, I can't afford that, like that is my reason behind it. Instead of saying things like, oh, I'm broke, I don't have the money, all that, just my favorite thing to say is that's not where I'm putting my money right now. Or what was the other one? I'm not putting my money there right now. I can't remember it. If I remember it, I'll tell you guys later. But you can always just be like, hey, or like that's not resonating with me right now, or now's not the time for this. Hold on. Someone just commented in the chat. Yeah, I choose. We'll talk about that in just a sec, Mom. You're jumping ahead of me here. But yeah, so or yeah, like I'm choosing to put my money elsewhere. That's the one that I really like. If I'm choosing to put my money elsewhere, I'm choosing to invest my money elsewhere, or that's not in alignment with me right now. Instead of saying I'm broke or I can't do that, it's I'm choosing to put my money somewhere else. I'm choosing not to spend my money, or you know what, this just doesn't align for me right now. Those are some of the things that you can say instead of saying like I'm broke, I don't have the money, because those will keep you in those cycles of being broke, being stuck, and perpetuating that identity of you can't afford it. And we want to move out of that identity. So what do you want? Okay. I kind of talked about this already, but like, what do you want? Like, really think about it because your ego is there to keep you safe. So if some part of you believes that having money is unsafe, a lack of control or freedom, or that it will separate you from others, that you'll no longer fit in, that you'll no longer belong, those things will keep you stuck. Okay. So these are the things that you want to like allow yourself to realize is like, oh, I can be safe with money. Okay. I can have control with money. I can have freedom with money. Maybe it feels like too many people will demand things of you. That was my big thing. It's like I thought that if I had a lot of money, people would constantly be demanding of me and wanting something from me. And once I learned how to say no and be like, oh, that I can say no. I don't have to just give all of my resources away. That freed me up to be like, oh, I have discernment. I have free will and choice. I don't always just have to give everything just because I have it. Okay. You might also feel like you'll no longer fit in. You'll no longer fit in with your friends or your family. And those are things that can potentially block us from receiving the abundance that we want. So the mindset shift that I want to introduce you to today is, what if money was easy? What if money was fun? What if money was joyful? What if money was there for you to pull from and circulate whenever and wherever you choose, not only in times of need or emergency, but all the time? Okay. Feel that into your body for a second. If you had money that you could pull from and circulate wherever and whenever you chose, how would that feel in your body? Does that make you feel tight? Does that make you feel scared? Does it make you feel really heavy? Does it make you feel really light, really expansive? Does it feel really good? This will start showing you where there are things in your energy field that are ready to be released and ready to be shifted. Okay. So this is another activity that we're going to do, or that you're going to do afterwards, but play in possibility. Okay. So what is your next level, and your next level, and your next level after that? Okay. So often when I say to people, like, what do you want? And they're like, well, I want money. And I'm like, okay, what do you want the money for? And they're like, oh, I just really want to pay my bills on time. And I'm like, okay, and then what? And they're like, well, that's it. I just want to pay my bills on time. And I'm like, no, that's not it. You're creating a problem. You're making it this bigger thing. You're making the bills be the biggest thing, and you're not having the money come in because you're actually playing too small. You paying your bills is not the thing that you actually want. What you want is what comes after you being able to pay all your bills. It's the thing that comes after that thing, and after that thing, and after that thing. So what you're going to do, and I actually recommend doing this, is like speaking it out loud with a friend or a family member, hitting record on your phone and just recording yourself talking. You can journal this in a journal, but I find the speed and the freedom of speaking it out loud and then also getting that energy out into the world actually makes this go much faster and allows you to tap in. Writing slows it down a little bit. So I do recommend speaking it out loud. But basically what you're going to do is the immediate goal or want. Then you're going to do, now that I have that, I now want, or I now choose. And now that I have that, and then the next thing and the next thing. And it's just going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking. So I'm going to give you a little example here. So like the example might be like, I want to pay all my bills all the time. Okay. The other thing that I want to discuss, I don't have a slide for this, but I want to throw it out here, is when you use the word I want, you're actually saying I don't yet have. So wanting is the frequency of I don't have it. So I actually want you to remove the word want from your vocabulary. Okay. You can still say it. You can still be like, hey, I want this, or be in the energy of desire when you're speaking about a desire, of being like, ooh, this feels really good. But notice whether you're in the feeling of, ooh, this feels really good to me, or if you're in a lower vibrational frequency of the waiting and wanting, which is, I don't have this yet. So often someone will be like, I want it. I want it. I just want it. I want it. I want it. I want it. And that frequency is, I don't yet have it, versus, ooh, this feels really good. Let's go get it. Okay. Or let's allow it to come to us. Let's allow ourselves to receive. So notice if you're in the frequency of desire, which is like, ooh, I'm going to go get that because I'm choosing that, or the frequency of I'm waiting and I'm wanting and it's not coming, and nobody likes that. I don't even like sounding like that. So pay attention to that. But so if your thing was, I want to pay all my bills on time. So the next level of you would be, I'm paying all my bills on time. And then the next level of that would be, I'm paying all my bills on time, and I'm also going to see a musical in the city every single month because I really love musicals. Because once you're paying all your bills on time, the next level of money is fun money. So it's like, what would you do with your fun money? Okay. So this is how the exercise goes. I'm just going to demo it for you. But like, okay, I want to pay all my bills on time becomes, I am paying all my bills on time. And now that I'm paying all my bills on time, I'm also going down to the city once a month and going to see a musical. And now that I'm paying all my bills on time and I'm going to see a musical once a month, I've also thrown in a fancy dinner every month. So now I'm paying my bills on time. I'm going to see a musical every month, and I'm going to a fancy dinner every month and trying out a different gluten-free restaurant every month. So now that I'm paying all my bills on time, and I'm going to see a musical, and I'm going to a fancy dinner, I've also met the most amazing, incredible man ever. He's like everything I ever dreamed of because I was doing all these things. So now I'm paying all my bills on time. I'm going to see a musical and going out to a fancy dinner. I've also met the love of my life. And now I am hiring someone to design my website for me. So now that I'm paying all my bills on time, and I'm going to a musical and fancy dinner with the love of my life, and I have someone who has designed my website, I now have clients coming in from all avenues. So I'm actually totally overwhelmed with how many clients are coming in. So now I've hired someone to take over half of my clients or do the behind the scenes work so that I don't have to do that and I can just stay in my power doing the thing that I love. So now that I'm paying for the thing or now that I'm paying all of my bills on time, going to a musical every month with the love of my life and having a fancy dinner every single month, and we have a website that's bringing in clients, and I actually have too many clients, so now I've hired someone to help me with those clients. We are now also looking at new houses. So now that I pay all my bills on time, do you see how this continues? Do you see how this keeps going? So you get the thing that you want, you go after the next thing and get the thing that you want, and you just keep stacking up that story. So it keeps going and keeps going, and eventually you get that story so big. I would go until you literally can't go anymore. Okay. So it's like now I'm paying my bills on time. Now I have all the money for all the fun adventures. I'm going out with the love of my life. My business is thriving and I have to hire people to do payroll, and because I didn't know how to do payroll. The other thing that this exercise will show you is the things that scare you or you feel like you can't do. So I did this the other day and I was like, oh my God, I'm hiring people for payroll. I don't know how to do a payroll. How would I possibly do that? And I was like, okay, now we have the money to pay for payroll. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, once I have people paying for payroll, what comes after that? And then that turned into, oh, I'm going on vacation every single month. So it's like, okay, so now I'm paying all my bills. I have fun money. I have employees. I figured out how to do payroll. I've hired someone to handle all my expenses and all my payroll. So I don't have to handle that because I was like, I don't want to do that. So it's like, we're going to hire someone to do payroll. Now we're going on vacation every month. Now we're flying around the world. Now we're buying a house. Now we're buying a summer home. Now we're getting a dog. Now we're just keep going until you literally can't do this any longer. Just keep adding it on, because the thing wasn't about paying my bills. The thing was what came after the paying my bills. So I had to get my energy into a level of comfort with paying my bills. So paying my bills was no longer this big giant, oh my God, I have to pay them on time. That was a little tiny thing that was handled every month. It was getting into the energy and the frequency of that's handled. So now my bigger worry is, how am I going to pay these imaginary employees for payroll? I don't know how to do that. So then the solution was, okay, well, now that we have employees, now that we have to do a payroll, we're going to hire someone who knows how to do that. And it's building these bridges between where you are and who you're going to become. Okay. So this is why I say speak it out loud, because you can just start playing with these things. The other day when I did this, I ended up being like, okay, well, now that we have all this money, I want to start a youth community center. I didn't know that I wanted to do that until suddenly I was dreaming all these bigger dreams. And suddenly I was like, okay, well, we're hiring someone to furnish the building, and we're bringing in special speakers to talk about energy work and frequencies and emotions and counselors and all these things for these to help youth. And it's like suddenly I'm creating a youth center, and I'm like, okay, but that was so big. I was like, oh, that would be really cool to do. So now instead of me focused on this, like, how do I pay my bills? How do I get QLA signups or clients or whatever? I was now going, how do I generate enough income to create this youth center in my community so that these kids are getting off the streets or they're out of their painful homes? And now suddenly it feels so big and so expansive. I'm like, well, duh, of course my bills are going to be paid because we have this way bigger vision. And you're just going to keep going until it literally becomes so big that you're like, okay, I have this giant vision and I understand now why God told me that, like, me stressing about my bills was not the thing that I was supposed to be doing. All right. Love the momentum. Opening the clarity. This is awesome, Laura. I have to pick up the kids. Yes. Go ahead. Pick up the kids. You are so welcome. Okay. So, oh my gosh. It is already almost 2:30 and I am not done. Okay. We're going to go overtime. If you need to jump, jump off. Okay. So, this is a really good exercise. Do it. Okay. Coming up next, trust fund. So now that you have this big, giant, larger than life vision and you're like, oh, how do I do that? This is where trust comes in. So the other day I was reading this book and it was completely unrelated to anything that I'm about to say, but I saw the word trust fund in the book. It was talking about like rich kids and it was like trust fund. but I saw the word as trust fund or trust funds. Okay. So this is, to me, it came through as God's trust fund. So God, when I trust in God, trust in the universe, trust in source, whatever you believe in, when I trust in God, I know that the things that he's put on my heart are going to happen. I know that they're going to come true. That is my trust fund. Okay. So having the belief that I will be provided for, having the belief that this idea of me starting this, like, this thing that may or may not come to fruition, but right now I'm really enjoying playing in the idea of having a youth center or having the type of money where I can hire people to create a youth center so that kids aren't getting into gangs or abusive situations or when kids need help. Because I'm like, everything for me, I realize goes back to kids. I work with parents so that the kids can be helped. Okay. I work on parents managing their emotions so that they can teach their kids how to manage their emotions. So for me, it was like trust that when the vision becomes clear and I stop focusing on the small things so that the big things will be funded. So I wanted to throw this in here, but this is God's trust fund. God will provide all the money that I need. I don't have to figure out the how. I just have to keep holding the vision and taking the tiny steps to embody it and bring it forward. Someone had just written in the chat. LOL, the bank just denied my trust in an account, and I have been keenly aware of the play on words. All right, that's an interesting thing. Whenever the bank does something that I'm like, wait, what is happening? I always look at it as redirection. So one of my favorite statements is every single delay is beneficial. So every delay is beneficial. Just keep trusting. Whatever is working behind the scenes, it will pay off in the long run, even if it doesn't fit what you think or thought it should have been. Okay. So next, I want to talk about fear, lack, and unworthiness, because by doing the previous exercise where you're going dream, 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 I want this, this is this. Now that I'm doing this, I'm getting this. And now that we're doing this, we're getting this. And now that we're doing this, we're getting this. It can bring up fear, lack, unworthiness, uncertainty. How do I do that? It can bring up a lot of insecurity. So one of the things that I always like to look at is who in your life has been abundant. Okay. So what role did they play? What was their money story? How did their perception of money shape you? So if you grew up with someone who held on to money so, so, so tight and never spent it, no matter how much money they had, you might believe that you have to hold on to your money. Or you might go the opposite and be like, well, they were hoarding all their money, so I'm just always going to give my money away. Okay. You might have had someone who was really, really rich in your life and everybody talked about them behind their back. And you might be like, oh, okay, like if I get really, really rich, everybody's going to talk about me behind my back. You might have had someone who didn't have a lot of money and was constantly helping other people, which was absolutely incredible. But you have now decided that, like, if you're helpful and if you give, you always have to overgive. So you're like, I'm not going to give anything. I'm just going to completely only look out for me because I don't want to end up like them, right? You might have someone who um they had money, but they never gave you time or attention. Okay. So my dad wasn't around in my life, but when he would pop up, he would bring a box of clothing or he would take us out on some extravagant shopping spree, which was so fun for my little shopping inner child who loves clothes. But there was another part of me that was like, I actually just want to have a dad every day, right? Like I want someone with me every day. So this box of clothing, which is amazing, doesn't actually fill the void of wanting my father in my life. So there was things that I had to work on when I was younger between allowing myself to buy beautiful clothes, but also have love. Because for a really, really long time, I had this belief that I could either have love or I could have money. And I had to bring it together into myself and be like, I can have both. I can have love and money. I can have people in my real life showing up for me every single day and have my bank account growing at the same time. When I was younger, I thought I could have one or the other. Did I turn the recording on? I don't think I did. No, I did. Okay. I just had a panic. Okay. So once you figured out those inner stories of who in your life, how is it showing up? How did their perception shape you? I want you to then start working on changing those perceptions. Okay. So, for example, for me, if it was like I can only have love or money, that turns into I can have love and money. If it was like, if I had a belief of, um, I have to hold on to all of my money or I'll lose it all, I could change it into like I can have money and circulate money. Okay. Do you see where these things are going? So, one of the things I want to touch on is your identity and when we're doing mind syncs. Okay. So, you can do this as mind sync, you can do this as journaling. I like to do it as both. Actually, I like to bring it forward and combine it together. One of the things that I see so often is when people start working with affirmations, they will immediately dive into I am. And they'll be like, I am rich. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am a millionaire. I am dating the love of my life. And their system will go, oh, that's bullshit. That's a lie. That's not true. And then they'll be like, okay, well, affirmations don't work for me. Okay. If that's ever happened to you, let me know. But we have to build a bridge between where you are right now and the version of you that you see yourself becoming. And one of the ways that I love doing that is expanding on not just I am, but moving through some of these other ones. You can use any word. So you can use the word need, you can use the word want. We're going to talk about this right now, actually, how I bridge the gap. You could also use I have. You could use I'm grateful for. You could use things like I'm calling in, I'm allowing. This is where we're going to go. The other thing too is um, find. So I did talk about the frequency of want. Um, so you can still use the word want as long as you're using it from um the frequency or the vibration of I choose. Okay? So if you're in the like I want it, I want it, I need it, I need it, I need it, I want it, I need it, need and want will then be the exact same. Okay? So find a way to get your energy so you can still say I want it, but use it from a place of I'm receiving it. Okay? Instead of I'm waiting for it. Does that make sense? Hold just one sec. The chat keeps disappearing. So you can still use the words just as long as the energy behind them is what's elevated. Okay. Because in the English language, we only have so many words. Okay. So I still say I want something, but I'm coming from a place of I already have it, or I'm getting it, I'm calling it in, I'm allowing it. So this is where I love to use words like I allow or I am allowing. Okay. So if we were saying, I'm just going to use the thing that I started with before, the like, I want to pay my bills on time, right? So instead of saying, if I say to myself, okay, I am paying all my bills on time, I might be like, nah, you have a bill due tomorrow and you don't have the money for it, or you just paid a bill late or whatever, right? So my identity might fight back against me saying, I'm already doing this or I already have this. So this is where I like to then go into, I allow or I am allowing. So I am allowing myself to pay all my bills on time. I am allowing myself to be prosperous. I am allowing myself to be abundant because it's opening up that permission. So when you say I allow, you're giving yourself permission. So then that internal lie detector inside of you might be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we paid a bill late last month, but if we're allowing ourselves to pay it on time this month, that's bringing us into free will and choice, which then allows us to go into I choose. So I choose to pay all my bills on time. I am choosing to pay all my bills on time. I am choosing to be abundant. If be abundant still feels like, oh, there's a lie there, you could say, I am choosing to become abundant. Okay. Because think of it like you're building a bridge. Think of it as like individual planks of wood that you're putting down on a bridge so that you can take one step forward, one step forward. You could also say, I feel abundant. Because one of the things that I know the most is I can feel abundant with $0 in my bank account. Okay. I can feel broke with millions of dollars in my bank account. Okay. I have learned that the actual amount of money in my account does not dictate how I am feeling. Okay. So you might say, I'm feeling abundant, and your body goes, oh, I do feel abundant. So then you can feel into that feeling more. When I walk outside in nature, I feel abundant. When I put on a pretty dress, I feel abundant. When I am sitting in a messy room, I don't feel as abundant. If I'm, I don't know, in a really depressed state, I don't feel abundant. So it's like I find the places where I feel abundant and create more of those spaces or more of those energies. The other beautiful thing about I feel is energy, emotions are energy in motion. Okay. They are meant to pass through us. So you can feel the feeling of abundance anywhere. If I told you, okay, I'm going to hand you a check and it's for an unlimited bank account that will never run out, never empty. You can pay for absolutely everything you want. You can fund all of your kids' college funds. You can go on all the trips you want to go on. You can create all the businesses, donate to all the charities. Your body might freak out. Some of us freak out with that, but some of us might feel, oh my God, yes, give it to me, give it to me. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm not actually handing you anything, but your body got into that feeling of being in that state of unlimited money. And that's what we want to train our body to do, is to get into the feeling of it before it actually happens, because when we're in the feeling of it, it can then arrive. So the other thing that I really like to say is I accept or I am accepting. So you could say like, I am accepting unexpected money this month. I am accepting that my bills will be paid. I am accepting love. I am accepting health, because acceptance is you, again, it's another layer of you choosing it. So if you accept it, it's another layer of you choosing and allowing, which will build that bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Another one would be I am willing or I am beginning. Okay. So again, if you're like, well, I'm not that thing yet, start saying, I am beginning to be abundant. I am beginning to be prosperous. I am becoming prosperous. These are the little steps that your subconscious will go, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm not it yet, but I'm bringing it forward. And then eventually you'll be able to be like, I am it now. Right. Because sometimes if we're saying things that don't feel true to us, it just cements the lie deeper and deeper and deeper. But if we can put these little things in front of it, we can be like, oh, I'm opening to that. I'm allowing that. I'm becoming that. It can allow you to start creating those changes unconsciously and clearing through the old beliefs so that you actually become those things. My other favorite one is I am grateful, or I am thankful for, or I am thankful to have. I am grateful to have. I am grateful to be. I am grateful I am. Gratitude is such a beautiful energy when you really feel it. So that's another one that I really like to throw in there. Yeah, you could also use like I am open to receiving. I open up to. Those are really, really powerful as well. One of the ones that I used to use a lot is I am calling in. So like I am calling in abundance. I am calling in prosperity. I am calling in clients. I'm calling in QLAs. I am calling in friends. Because that allows you to start creating this little bit of a dance where you're putting your energy out and you're allowing or calling it back in. You're opening to it. Yeah, so like I open is another really, really beautiful one because you're opening, right? You could also do like I am learning. If you hit um belief blocks around you don't know how to do it, a really, really good one to work with is I am learning, and then fill in whatever it is that you're learning. This leads us into the capable. Do you believe that you are capable? So many people get stuck thinking that they can't do it, thinking that they are not capable. So one of my favorite things is I am capable of being abundant. I am capable of being prosperous. I am capable of holding large amounts of money. I am capable of circulating large amounts of money without emptying out my bank account. I am capable of being responsible for this much money. I am capable of learning new skills. I am capable of keeping track of these things. Whatever the fear comes up, I like to flip it into I'm capable of handling that. Okay. So, do you believe you're capable? And if you don't, that's a brilliant mindset to start doing is I am capable of. Okay. So, who do you think you will be when you are rich? So, this is where, again, we've started building that bridge in our mind, in our conscious and unconscious. But what actions can you do right now as you are that your future self is already doing? Okay. So, I love to go on a money date every single month. So, I know that when I have millions and millions of dollars, I'm going to have to be aware of the money in my account. So, younger me used to avoid her bank account like I would never look at it. I would never look at it. And then one day I was like, okay, well, if I had millions and millions of dollars in my account, I would be looking at that. I would be noticing the money coming in and the money going out. So I was like, I need to build that habit now. So I set an alarm on my phone for 10 o'clock every night. It said money love, and it would go off, and I would stop whatever I was doing when it would go off. I would open up my banking app and I would just look at my money. Okay. Whether I had $100 in my account, whether I had thousands of dollars in my account, whether I had negative amount of money in my account, I did not attach anything to how much money was in the account. I just looked at it and noticed where money was coming in and going out. This will also allow you to stop money leaks. So I would be like, oh, I'm still signed up for this Amazon subscription that I don't want anymore. I can cancel that. And now there's not $10 leaving my account, right? I got really, really familiar with my bank. I got really, really familiar with the money coming in and the money going out. But I also just got really comfortable opening up my banking app instead of being terrified of, oh my God, what went out today? What's happening? I started knowing every single day if I have a bill paid, my calendar notifies me. It says like this bill just left or like this bill is due today. So I know exactly what's going on with my money. It's not about budgeting. It's not about like me trying to like figure things out. It's just about getting really comfortable with money because I know that when I'm making millions, I have to be really comfortable with that. I have to create a relationship with the money. So this might be something for you, like closing up those money leaks. Okay. This might be something like paying attention to your bank account. This might be something like donating to charity. This might be something like um, putting money aside every single month. What is it? What are things that your future self is doing that you can do right now? This also might have nothing to do with money. This might be something like taking a break. Okay. If you're one of those people who just work and work and work and work and work, your future self might be taking a break. So you have to start taking a break now. Okay. If your future self likes to wear like really pretty clothing or something, go out and buy a shirt that makes you feel like your future self and bring that into the now. I like to journal on who you will be when you're rich, when you're affluent, when you have the money. Really figure out what habits will that person have, what traits will that person have, and start finding little ways to bring those things forward. Okay. So for me, I love to drink wine out of fancy glasses. Or not wine. This is water. It's a wine glass. I don't drink wine. I like to drink my water out of wine glasses. I like to drink my water out of wine glasses because they feel pretty to me. And I'm like, I like pretty things. And I used to think of that as a bad thing. And I had to reframe it for myself and be like, no, me seeing beauty in the world is actually a skill set that I get to foster and I get to grow it. So, right now, how can you show up in that energy today? Okay. What is out of integrity with that vision? So, that future version of you, that future self, what are you doing today that's maybe the opposite of that? Okay. So, for me, it was I was avoiding my money because my future self would pay attention to her money. She would know where money was coming from. She would also dream bigger. She would constantly be thinking, oh, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. So I had to start doing that now. I had to start dreaming bigger before I had the thing to back it up. Okay. So what clothes are you wearing? I am actually guilty of this. I have to go and completely like go through my closet, but holding on to old clothes that you would never wear or it's just not you. Like get rid of the things in your life that are no longer you. Get rid of the things that you put them on and you're like, oh, this feels so dirty and old and has tears in it. Let it go. You don't have to completely revamp your closet, but get one thing. Maybe you get some like cute underwear. I don't know. If like for me, and this might be too much information, but like old underwear with like rips and holes, I'm like, that makes me feel broke. So I'm gonna go buy cute underwear. I'm gonna go like get my hair trimmed. I'm gonna do something that makes me feel good because every morning I don't want to be putting on underwear with holes in it. It's gonna make me feel like I don't have money. It's gonna make me feel not prosperous. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get some new cute underwear. And then every day I'm like, oh, look, I'm so rich. I'm so affluent. I'm so abundant. How do you get ready in the morning? Do you roll over, hit your alarm, and go, ugh, it feels awful? Or do you like roll over, hit your alarm, or maybe you don't even have an alarm. Maybe you wake up with the birds and the sunrise and you're like, I feel amazing. Start waking up that way. If that's how your future self wakes up, start waking up that way. Okay. What food do you buy? If you're picturing your future self eating really healthy meals, but then every day you're running to the McDonald's drive-through, like that's something that's out of integrity. Okay. How do you pay your bills? If the really affluent, rich version of you goes, thank you so much, love this, here you go, start doing that instead of going, oh, I have to pay this bill, I hate this. Start going, ah, thank you so much. Thank you, more, please. Thank you. Yes, I'll do that again. Thank you so much. Even if it's like $2, $5, $500, $1,000,000, whatever it is, start thanking that money that you have it to pay those bills. And then start embodying that version of you now. So this is how we start bringing in that embodiment piece. So we can have the thoughts going in our heads as much as we want, of like, I am rich, I am abundant, all of this. But if you're not matching those thoughts with your actions, there's going to be a discrepancy. And this is again where we need to start building that bridge. So anchors. So these are small things that you can do daily to anchor in that future version of you. So these are just some of the things that I do, but smell. So you might have like an essential oil that you have. I have mine going in the diffuser behind me. You might have like a perfume that makes you feel really abundant or affluent or rich. You might have a candle that every time you look at it, you're like, "Ooh, yes." Every time you light it, it might feel like, yes, I'm bringing in that energy. Something for your sight. So this might be flowers. I mentioned how I like to drink out of wine glasses because they make me feel really rich and luxurious. You might have a photo or something like that. You might have a vision board. Mine's behind me. So every time I see this photo or this vision board, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm affluent, I'm abundant. Touch, okay? So you might want to have some physical. I have a little money jar here. So you might want to have like an actual piece of money that you touch every day and you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, more, please. Yes, come to me. Just having that money, being grateful for that money, looking at that money and being like, oh, I have that. It might be something like texture wise. You might want to get like a shirt that feels really nice or a blanket that feels really cozy. You might have a journal that feels really good for you, your clothing, your jewelry. I have a necklace that I put on every day and it's my little abundance necklace. I also imprint this on the scanner with the frequency of abundance. And that can be something, sometimes I'll touch it on my, it's literally right on my neck. I play with it, but it just brings me back in. It anchors me back into that feeling of abundance. Sound, obviously we have the frequencies, we have our inner voice, we have our mind sync, but you could also have like a playlist of songs that you dance to in your kitchen that make you feel really good. And then feelings. So this might be walks, journaling, gratitude, being in nature. This could be dancing. This could literally just be one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and you just being like, okay, I feel abundant and bringing in that feeling of abundance. The other thing I really like to do is when I feel these states of wins or big abundance or celebrations, I anchor that into my body. I really say to myself, like, ooh, that's what abundance feels like. That's what gratitude feels like. That's what success feels like. So that my body can start recognizing and understanding this. I'm just going to answer the chat questions at the very end, but I will get to them. The other thing is, so for essential oils, I love having like an abundance oil. Some of my favorite are jasmine, rose, Hawaiian sandalwood. There's a couple different blends that I use from companies, but you can find your own. I don't want you to like Google what oils are for abundance because everybody's going to have smells that trigger their own thing. So I really love jasmine. I really love rose. But someone else might like cinnamon or wild orange or mint. Some people might like peppermint, right? Like different smells. Songs. So find a playlist or find a song that makes you feel alive and abundant and then start listening to it. And then I did talk a little bit about the money date, but each month sit down with your finances. This isn't budgeting. This is a date. So money is a relationship. Talk to money, look at your bank account, your income, your expenses, your investments. I also really like to switch the wording of expenses into investments. Every single thing that all my expenses are investments back into myself. Okay. Excuse me. I totally went overtime. Thank you to everybody who stayed. But know where your money is going. Okay. Pay attention to where your money is going. Talk to your money, create a relationship with your money. Once a month, I sit down, have a money date. I buy myself flowers. I get dressed up. I look at my bank account. I look at my clients. I look at my back office in Solex. I look at what QLAs have stayed, if any of them have left. I look at how many QLAs I want to bring in. I look at how many clients I have brought in, how many clients I want to bring in. I look at how much money I made in my business, in my Solex business, in my other things. I have a couple of other different ways of making money. So I look at all my multiple streams of income. I add it all up. I see what the whole thing was. I look at all of my expenses for the month. Did I add any expenses? I have a literal like paper calendar that I write out like what day things go out on. And I sit with my money and I talk to my money and we plan and we pray, and I just hang out with money for like an hour or so. Start talking to money. It's not this big elusive thing that can't hang out with you. I like to think of money as a relationship. I like to have a relationship with it. So I like to go on a money date. And I think that's everything that, oh, and then obviously we have the scanner, which is brilliant. So use your mind sync, use your inner voice, use your sexy playlist. Your inner voice is going to work on those unconscious belief systems without you even having to know what you're working on. Mind sync is that much more conscious way to bring those beliefs forward and anchor them into your body. So create your mind syncs, use your mind syncs. If you're like, I don't know how to do that, go watch Monday Night's Call. Juliana went through the whole thing, and then Sephi playlists. You can run the frequency of abundance. You can run the frequency of prosperity. You can run the frequency of um, prosperity, success, any of those. I love to go into the flower frequencies and pull out what emotions are being worked on, or like what my body needs to work on. Just hit scan. Just go into frequencies, go into flowers, hit scan, have it bring up whatever you're working on. You don't need to figure it out. Just run the frequency. Another frequency that I absolutely love, we talked about this in the program, but the energy clear, the energy shield, and grounding, to me, that's the trifecta. That just clears out any of those like outside energies or those influences. You could also, hold on, do I have anything left on here? No. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close this so you can see me for a sec here. So what I actually love to do is take some like physical cash and take it and put it on my scanner and then run energy clear and energy shield on the actual physical money, because money holds energy. Okay. So if you are panicking about money and you're going, oh my God, this is my last $50. I just can't give it away. I don't know where my next money is coming from. I don't know what, okay, okay, but I really, really, really want to buy this thing. So here, just take my money. Just take it. Just take it. Just take it. Okay, here you go. And then I come in feeling really, really good. And I pick up and I say, oh, thank you so much. But I go, oh, why do I feel like really scared now? Why do I feel really like, oh, like I was really happy to get this 5 seconds ago, but now I just feel like, eh. It's because the energy's on the money. So clear your money, okay? So take your money, put it on. You can also make a space or object in your scanner for your bank account, your business cards. Yeah, Mom knows how to do this. Scan your bank account, scan your business. Clear the energy on your business. Clear the energy on your money. I like to do it with the physical representation of money. Also, I'm Canadian. That's why it looks like Monopoly money. But you can clear the energy on the money. I do this all the time because if that money's coming in and it's circulated however many hands, I want that money to have squeaky clean energy. I want that money to feel good. I want it to feel prosperous because that's how I want my money to feel. I think I talked about everything. I closed my slides because I was done. Okay, let me read these comments. Okay. I always thought that if I was rich, I would have investments and understand different currencies. Too funny. One of my income streams pays me in Bitcoin. I freaked out. Now I can learn. That's a perfect example of money coming in unexpected ways and something that you had to learn something new. So yeah. So yes, freaked out, but now you get to learn. And you could even throw it into MindSync and be like, I am learning Bitcoin. I am capable of understanding cryptocurrency. I still don't know that one, but yeah, I love it. Okay. How often should we imprint the necklace or the jewelry? So I personally just imprint it whenever I feel like it. Like honestly, I don't do it in any sort of like set way. With the Cephi dots that we have, they say it's up to 72 hours. So I will, with my necklace though, because it's metal, it holds it longer. I usually just go until I don't really feel it anymore. But I would say maybe like once a week if you wanted. I did get this imprinted with Abundance with my friend's Cephi Star. So with the Cephi Star, it's supposed to be permanent now. So that's a really just cool plug there for the Cephi Star. My favorite oil blend is Magnify Your Purpose, amazing blend. Basil and geranium. Yeah, I hate the essential oil basil. My mother, on the other hand, loves basil. That is her abundance oil. So it's like, again, find smells that work for you if you're going to use that as one of your anchors. How do you go about scanning your bank account? Do you make a yes. So make a profile under objects and spaces, and that will then I'll show you guys. Hold on one second. I wasn't going to do this today, but we will do this today. Hold on. Why is my scanner not working? Hold, please. Go. Okay. And now let me share my screen. Okay. So once you're in your profile, you can come up here and go to objects and spaces. You will hit add. You could say like bank account. This is taking too long. You could say like saving, checking, loan payment, investment, fund money, like whatever you want to say, right? You could even put affirmations or whatever you want in there, save it, come back up, and I like to make a client group. So you would go into manage client groups. You would go into, I don't know why it's taking so long today. It wants me to be patient, that's why. Okay, you would go into manage client groups, hit the add button, stack together if you had multiples like your business, your bank account, yourself, whatever you want to have. This is not, okay, I don't know why it's taking so long. And when you go into your Cephi, just do your objects in space. So yeah, that's how you would do it, or you would go into your groups and you could do it all individually. I'll probably actually make another video for you guys. Yeah, I'll do like a bonus training. I'll post it in the Elevate. Okay. This went way over time. I ran this through the other day and it was 30 minutes, and today it was an hour. All right. Work on your mindset shifts, use your mind sync, bring it into your real life, whether that be tiny things like taking a break every day, going for a walk every day, drinking your water out of a wine glass, whatever feels really good. Um, Find those things, share them in the group. If you're like, oh, this is my thing that makes me feel abundant, share it in the group. You might inspire somebody else. Now that I've talked forever, I had a whole closing up for this. I lost it. Does anybody have any final questions? You can jump off mute, anything like that. Does anybody have any of like what they're going to do, what their embodiment's going to be? Um, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. You just start doing these little tiny things. And I do find that if you can do the exercise of leveling up and dreaming bigger, you'll suddenly stop worrying about the small things, and suddenly all the small things will just be taken care of on their own. It's when you make those small things the biggest problem that you create that block. You weren't put on this earth to pay bills. You were put on this earth to do something way bigger than that. So stop focusing on the paying the bills or the bringing in the money. And I focused on money today because I love the topic of money, but it could be the relationship. It could be the health. It's like if it is health that you want, abundance of health, stop focusing on healing the symptom and focus on the version of you who, what you will do once those symptoms are healed. Okay. If it's like for me, because I want a sexy, sexy husband, instead of me being like, how do I meet my man? I'm focusing on all the amazing things we're going to do once we're married for like 10 years. So it brings me into the version of myself who's already done it instead of the version down here. You are so, so, so welcome. I love that you love the exercise. If nobody needs any questions or anything like that, thank you. Thank you. This was fun. Okay. Can't wait. Yes. Okay. And again, put your thing, like add it in Elevate because you might inspire somebody else. Um, okay. I think that's it. If everybody's good to go, thank you. Thank you. It was so lovely to see all of you. Mwah. Bye.